are two questions that are starting to speak to me from these words of Peter after resurrection. The Spirit, the promised Spirit, has been given, and there is a new boldness, a new speaking out in the streets. People are shouting questions. What does this mean? What is going on? And Peter starts to speak of Jesus. He speaks of someone that they know, these crowds in the streets, they know who he means when he speaks of Jesus. And more than that, they also know that he healed, he did miracles, wonders and signs. He says, you know all these things. And he also says this, you crucified him. That is a bold thing to say in a crowded Jerusalem a few days after Jesus has been killed. But he then draws on to the Psalms to speak of what is going on now in these days after resurrection. He turns to the words of Psalm 16 of David, which are spoken in the first person, a prayer of thankfulness. It says this, you have shown me the way of life, and you will fill me with the joy of your presence. There's a past tense and a future tense there. And more precisely, in the first line, you have shown me the way of life. That statement is a past act that keeps bearing upon now, keeps speaking to now. You have shown me, and you keep showing me the way of life. And Peter places these words in the mouth of Jesus. It is Jesus who speaks these words. And how does all this explain to those in the streets what is going on here? And these words are applied to Jesus. What we have is this. The way Jesus lived and spoke in the Gospels, that is the way of life. You have shown me, he says, past tense, the way of life and what took place before the cross. There lies the way of life. And my first opening question then is this. Where am I turning to the life and the words of Jesus and taking up this way, this path of life? Where am I taking up the Beatitudes, the love of God and neighbour, which Jesus speaks of as the way of life in Luke 10:28? Where do I let Jesus' life and practice change what I do? And my second opening question lies with the second phrase, a future word. You will fill me with joy in your presence. And that is no simple future. It is also a now question. In the psalm, the words are spoken in the moment of the psalmist resting in hope between having seen the path of life and receiving the gift of joy. But in resurrection, Jesus has already come into that joy. And by the Spirit, this joy is now being given to the disciples. The gift of this joy is part of the blessing of the Spirit's coming amongst them. And so my second question that I feel as I face these beautiful words of Peter is this. Where is the Spirit of God leading me in joy? Where are the wee signs and whispers, maybe shouts that I need to hear just now that open towards this resurrection joy that comes in the Spirit? Two questions to hold close over this week. Amen.